In 1977, NASA launched a golden record into space. Not a satellite, not a probe, a message. A 12-inch gold-plated disc containing 115 images, greetings in 55 languages, and 90 minutes of music from across human history. They attached it to the Voyager 1 spacecraft and pointed it at the stars. It is currently 23 billion miles away from Earth and still traveling. Think about what that actually means. We send a message to someone we have never met, have no evidence exists, and have no way of knowing we'll ever find it. We just threw it into the void and hoped. No other species on Earth has ever done anything like that, not even close. And the fact that we did it without hesitation, without proof, without any rational expectation of a response, says something about us that most people have never stopped to think about. We have always believed something is out there. Every culture, every civilization, every era of human history, not because we were told to, because something in us already knew. And what if that feeling isn't imagination? What if it's a signal? What if the reason humans have spent their entire existence looking up at the sky is because somewhere deep in us, below language and culture and rational thought, something already knows it's being watched? What if humans are the experiment? Let's talk about the thing that should have shaken science to its core, but got buried in textbooks. Francis Crick won the Nobel Prize in 1962 for cracking the structure of DNA. The man is one of the most important scientists who ever lived. After spending 20 years studying the molecule that contains the blueprint for all life on Earth, he published a paper in 1973 that said something extraordinary. He said the genetic code looked engineered, not evolved, not randomly assembled through billions of years of chemistry, engineered, deliberately designed by something that understood molecular biology at a level that we ourselves have only recently begun to approach. He called the theory directed panspermia, the idea that life on Earth didn't start here, that it was deliberately seeded onto this planet by an intelligent civilization from somewhere else, not carried here accidentally on a meteor, sent here on purpose. The way you'd introduce a culture into a petri dish. Now you might expect that a theory like this from a Nobel Prize-winning scientist would get serious attention, debate, research, counter-arguments backed by real evidence. Instead, it got quietly shelved, referenced occasionally in academic papers, never seriously pursued. And the reason most scientists give is that there's no evidence for it. But here's the thing, there's also no evidence against it. And the question Crick was actually asking, why does the genetic code look the way it does, has never been satisfactorily answered. Because the genetic code is not the only possible way to store biological information. Scientists have built alternative genetic systems in laboratories, different chemistry, different structure, fully functional. Life could have emerged using completely different molecular machinery and worked just as well. So why does every living thing on Earth, every single organism without exception, run on exactly the same system, not similar, identical, down to the same base pairs, the same codons, the same translation machinery, as if everything was compiled from one original source file by one original programmer? One code, 8 million species, 0 variation. That is either the most extraordinary coincidence in the history of science, or it isn't a coincidence at all. But here's where it stops being abstract and starts being personal. Humans don't fit this planet, not physically, not behaviorally, not ecologically, and the evidence is sitting in plain sight if you're willing to look at it honestly. Every organism on Earth exists in a loop with its environment. It takes resources, it returns resources, the system balances itself. That's just what happens when a species evolves inside an ecosystem over millions of years. It becomes part of the system because the system shaped it. We never became part of the system. We don't participate in Earth's ecosystem. We override it. We don't adapt to our environment. We rebuild it to suit us. We have driven thousands of species to extinction, pumped the atmosphere full of gases that destabilize the climate, and converted more of the Earth's surface in the last 200 years than in all of previous human history combined. And we know we're doing it. We have known for decades. The data is not in dispute, and we keep going anyway. That is not the behavior of a species that evolved here. That is the behavior of a test subject that was never meant to stay permanently. something introduced into an environment to see what it would do. And what it did was exactly what you would expect from something that doesn't belong here. It started taking the place apart. Now here's something that doesn't get enough attention. Our moon is stranger than most people realize. It is the only natural satellite in the solar system that produces a perfect solar eclipse as seen from its planet's surface. The moon is 400 times smaller than the sun, but also 400 times closer to Earth. That ratio is so precise that during a total eclipse, the moon covers the sun exactly. Not almost, exactly. Scientists acknowledge this is remarkable and have no comfortable explanation for it. But more importantly, the moon stabilizes Earth's axial tilt. Without it, our axis would wobble chaotically, producing climate swings so violent that complex life would likely be impossible. It arrived here 4.5 billion years ago from a single impact at exactly the right angle and velocity to produce a satellite with precisely the properties needed to make this planet habitable. One shot, perfect result. Experiments need controlled environments, and someone made sure this one had one. Now here's the part that ties everything together. The universe is approximately 13.8 billion years old. Earth is 4.5 billion years old. The conditions for life have existed across the cosmos for billions of years before Earth even formed. Which means if intelligent life emerged somewhere else, first it had a head start on us of potentially billions of years. A civilization that is 1 billion years more advanced than us is not slightly ahead of us. It is so far beyond our comprehension that we have no framework to imagine what it looks like. A billion years ago on Earth, the most complex life forms were simple multicellular organisms. That is the gap. A civilization at that level would have capabilities that from our perspective would be completely indistinguishable from impossible, including the deliberate seeding of life onto a planet, including the engineering of a stabilizing moon, including the patient observation of an experiment running across hundreds of millions of years. And if that civilization existed, if it had been watching this planet since before the first animal crawled out of the sea, what would it be looking for? The same thing every scientist looks for when they run an experiment: a result. Whether intelligence, real intelligence, leads to survival or self-destruction. Whether a species that becomes powerful enough to reshape its environment also becomes wise enough not to destroy it. That is the hypothesis. We are the test case, and the experiment is still running. In 1977, we launched a golden record into the void, hoping something would find it. Maybe something already has. Maybe it's been watching the whole time. Maybe the message was never meant for them. Maybe it was meant for us. A reminder that we always knew something was out there, that we always felt the eyes we couldn't see, that the longing we've carried our entire existence as a species isn't longing at all. It's recognition.